That night, Bertram finally gathered up his courage to confess to Gwen. The next second, people went over and checked on him, but he found that he had come out of the accident without any injury. A man suddenly went through him. He looked at the helpless man who fell to the ground, and then a passerby came up, taking off his coat and starting to do CPR for Bertram. Then he was doing artificial respiration. At that moment, there was suddenly a bright light around him. In a blink of an eye, he had skipped to the next day. He slowly woke up in a hospital bed. When Bertram was discharged, he just greeted the nurse at the door. The nurse made a face of disbelief. Bertram asked her, "Can you see me?" She was going to grab Bertram to find out if he was alive. It was inexplicable. Bertram turned and walked away. The nurse was going after him. He thought she was going to warn him to be careful with vehicles. Bertram bumped into an old couple when he hurried away. The old couple looked at each other with a surprised look on their faces. "Did you see him too?" Bertram felt very strange. Many people saw him and followed him. Bertram was scared and ran away. A middle-aged man across the street called him from a distance. Bertram warned him to be careful of the vehicles, but this man didn't seem to bother. A miracle happened in front of him. "Can you see me?" Bertram was frightened and ran away. When he passed the park, he saw a policeman. He wanted to ask for his help, but the policeman was weird as everyone else. "Can you see me?" Bertram walked away reluctantly. More and more people followed him. Bertram could only hide away from them. After that, Bertram went back to the hospital to inquire about his condition. Facing with his desperation, the doctor told the truth. Apparently, during the operation, his heart had stopped under general anesthesia for 7 minutes. They also called for a meeting to save him. Fortunately, he was still alive. He was so angry, but better alive than dead. When Bertram came home, Frank came to find him. They came to a bar, sitting down and discussing about the solution. It turned out that all those weird people were ghosts. But why those ghosts dressed so strangely? Frank told him, "What's the point of being dead when you can't wear whatever you want?" These ghosts all had unfulfilled wishes, but now they couldn't finish because they were dead. Since Bertram was still alive, he could do these wishes without any difficulty. So the ghosts chased after him to ask for his help, completing their unfinished wishes. Frank also wanted his help. He wanted Bertram to help him finish those wishes with him. But Bertram was a lonely and introverted person. He also had anxiety about fitting into the crowd. He just wanted to be alone. Bertram was sleeping. A man with no clothes on his body quietly came to his room. He didn't notice him at all until the next second. "What's the matter?" They were a group of ghosts wandering around the world, and Bertram was the only human being who could see them. They found Bertram, asking him to help them accomplish their wishes so they could go to heaven with ease. There was no way out. Bertram could only run away. But when the elevator opened, it was full of ghosts. Then he went downstairs to the head office. These ghosts also came downstairs and waited for him. Bertram was in a hurry. He didn't want to care about them. He didn't want to help, because he was such a selfish man. Hearing that, Frank made a deal with him. He just needed him to do one thing, then he would keep these ghosts away from him. Bertram had to make a deal with Frank. Frank put forward his condition. He died in an accident. His wife had been loyal to him. But now his wife was about to marry a lawyer. He didn't want her to marry that man, so he wanted Bertram to break him up. Bertram immediately agreed. In a conference, Gwen was giving a speech. Bertram mingled with the audience, waiting for her to finish. At the end of the conference, he came forward to talk to her. After a chat, Gwen expressed no interest. Bertram was defeated. He immediately changed to plan B. He and Frank met in the elevator to discuss their plan. A few days after, Bertram came to Gwen's conference again. Because Bertram was a famous dentist in the area, according to the judgment of a doctor, he thought the wound was not caused by decay. After a professional explanation, he attracted the attention of Gwen. Gwen also asked Bertram to study mummies together. Facing the invitation, Bertram was not excited. Instead, he was reluctant. "I have to check my schedules. I can't do that either. This would be, that's okay, I have an appointment about. I think my schedules are full. Oh, for the love of God. Oh, Thursday I seem not so busy." So they were setting a date. 2 days later, they met in the laboratory. After a long chat, Bertram found out unknowingly that she was charming and likable. The two went on another date. When they had dinner together, Gwen and Bertram talked about her ex-husband. It seemed that Gwen had known her ex-husband did something behind her back. Frank also tagged along on the date. More than that, the next day, Bertram was a guest at Gwen's house. He met her lawyer boyfriend. Bertram thought he was a gentleman, not like what Frank said about him. So Bertram decided not to help Frank break him up. He thought as long as Gwen was happy, he would go with her choice. Bertram knew he was in love with Gwen. But what he didn't know was during the time he and Gwen got along with each other, her feelings had changed gradually. Her lawyer boyfriend came to Bertram for his dental check. Bertram knew from him that he and Gwen had broken up with each other. Excited to hear the news, Bertram bought a gift for her. After receiving the gift, Gwen was very happy. Bertram wanted to confess his feelings towards her. He inadvertently told her the thing that only she and her ex-husband knew. Gwen's sixth sense burst instantly. She asked him if he had investigated her private life with her ex-husband. To save the situation, Bertram had no choice but to tell her the truth about seeing ghosts. Gwen thought that Bertram was lying to her. Bertram hurriedly said, "If you don't believe me, you can ask something that only you know." Gwen asked him. Frank worked as a policeman and burst into tears when he woke up. What did he dream of? Bertram turned around and asked Frank. According to Carl's answer, Bertram replied straight away. But the answer was wrong. He asked Frank why he gave Bertram the wrong answer. Frank said, "Because you're a selfish bastard. I won't let someone like you marry Gwen." After listening to Frank, Bertram fell into silence. Frank was on the phone. Suddenly, there was an object falling from the sky. Fortunately, he didn't get hit. But the next second, you could not believe what just happened. A bus ran by and crashed him down. Then something strange happened. His soul was out of his body. No one could see him. Only Bertram was an exception. Because he could see ghosts. When he came to the clinic, it was full of people. They were all ghosts who still wandered around in the living world because they still had unfinished wishes. Once their wishes were fulfilled, they would be reincarnated. Bertram found a colleague to help them. He walked out of the clinic. He finally wanted to help them. The first go was 3 workers. They told Bertram that they were hit by 2 heavy loads. The car's hydraulic system failed, which caused the accident, but the crane operator had always been regretted. He thought it was his own mistake. After Bertram knew that, he told the operator all the truth. The operator's guilt was finally relieved. The wishes of the 3 workers had been fulfilled. After a gust of wind, the 3 ghosts dissipated. The next one was an old lady. She told him she had 2 daughters. Because of some misunderstanding, the 2 had always been acting oddly towards each other. Before she died, she had written a letter. It explained all their misunderstanding. When Bertram found the letter and gave it to the older daughter, the old lady's wish was finally finished. Then the light came on. The old woman's soul slowly disappeared. The next one was the girl with a helmet. Her wish was simple. He just needed to find the teddy bear under the bed and gave it to her father. After helping all the ghosts, Bertram also understood life's meaning. He found Gwen, ready to fulfill Frank's wish. He conveyed Frank's apology to her. But Gwen still didn't believe him. Bertram came forward to stop Gwen, asking her to give him a chance. Suddenly, Bertram joined Frank, becoming a ghost. At this time, someone rushed up to start cardiopulmonary resuscitation for Bertram. Was he still alive? And then Frank found out Gwen on one side shed tears for Bertram. Frank knew it was time to leave. Before leaving, he told Bertram about the nightmare. He hoped Bertram could take good care of Gwen for him in the future. The light flashed and Frank disappeared. Bertram also recovered. Bertram had learned a lot now. The people around him were no longer indifferent. After arriving at the hospital, Gwen found Bertram. At this time, Bertram told her about the nightmare Frank always had before. In his dream, the real one, he's walking in the woods with his dad. He's holding his hand, but then suddenly, his dad's not there. He tries to find the way back, the way he came, but he keeps ending up back where he started, and that's his nightmare. He's lost and he can't find his way home. That's it. Do you still see him? He found his way home. That's good. The film was over. There is no thrill, but I am moved by the warmth of the film. Being loved and care, isn't it the most precious feeling in the world? When the souls in the film saw their beloveds being comforted, this kind of loving and care moved my heart. Thinking of the departed loved, their only wish was for them to be happy ever after. That's all for today. I'll see you next time.